finales of some big TV shows.
Where do we go with this, Rob? There's a lot of finales. We've got
three. There's even a fourth one, or whether we even include Andor in this conversation or not. I don't know. But
I think we'll leave Andor because I could just go on about that for an hour. So
so ending around about the same time, we had the Lord of the Rings of Power TV show.
Yeah.
We had She-Hulk Attorney Law, and we had House of the Dragon, and they all seemed to finish within about a week of each other.
They did, didn't they?
Which is kind of poor timing from the filmmaker's point of view. I wish they'd could have spread these out so we didn't have like 3 weekly shows and all of a sudden nothing.
They're all vying against each other, I guess, aren't they?
Yeah. So in terms of like which of these nailed the landing, just want to talk about which ones we think was most successful, rather than necessarily judging it as these 3 shows as a whole. If we think which had the best ending that suited each show. But what does a TV show's ending need to do? What suggestion?
Right. What it needs to do is wrap up some storyline threads, and then go, oh my God, I can't wait now 6 months to watch the next episode of X.
Yeah, I guess that's it, isn't it? It's all those little plot threads.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's not satisfying, is it? You've got to tie up the plot threads, but if you tie everything up, you've got to leave something or a new thing, haven't you, to make you feel like you've got to make sure you're living up to that promise as well, haven't you? Because if this whole series has been building up to something, you kind of got to commit to that, haven't you?
What I find interesting is actually on all 3 of these programs, I enjoyed all 3 of them immensely. But weirdly, I can only tell you what happened at the end of 2 of them at the moment. So,
Rings of Power first.
Yeah.
So Rings of Power, how successful was Rings of Power? My problem with the finale for Rings of Power is so much of it was tied into the reveal of who's Sauron in hiding.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was kind of obvious who that was going to be. They've thrown a few red herrings in there, but I kind of felt like while going into the last episode, there's only one person it could possibly be.
Kaiser Soze moment, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Not that. One thing I did like is that he said, look, it is me, and actually here are all the flashbacks, if you will, because actually you should have known it all the way through, because Galadriel doesn't quite get it, does she? And then he's like, look, I did say I'm a bad guy, I did say this, I did say that, I did say that, and she's like, oh my God, and you sort of see her
face palming,
duped, hasn't she?
Yeah. The other thing we kind of sort of did, which was so the who is Sauron was answered. So that's so well done. Yeah, she plot thread, but I felt like it wasn't like a big enough shock or anything for that they'd built it up. So I was a little bit let down by that. The other thing they had to tie up was who was the stranger that fell from the sky. Again, you feel like it's going to be. Could it be a good guy, a bad guy? They did a bit of a fake out, tried to trick you that it was a bad guy at the start of the episode, which I never believed for a second. Pretty clear he's one of the, what do they call them, Istari or something like that?
That was plain.
A wizard. So the only thread that's still left as a tease is he Gandalf or one of the blue wizards or Radagast or someone else? But I know from a timeline point of view, it shouldn't be Gandalf unless they've tweaked the timelines, which they've already done a bit of that with Sauron's human sort of storyline anyway. So they've already tweaked the timelines anyway.
Will they go as deep as that, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know whether they're bothered about that. And they're just how many hardcore Lord of the Rings and Silmarillion fans are going to be coming out of the woodwork moaning about it. Quite a few if you look on YouTube videos, I suppose.
They are. A lot of people do.
He does say a line, doesn't he, which is pretty much word for word something that Ian McKellen says in Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. Because
it's something about follow. I don't know where to go. Follow your nose. Is there something like that in Rings of Power? Which I know I've picked up on it straight away because they're saying that when they're going through the mines of Moria, aren't they? Yeah. And Gandalf says that when they can't decide which tunnel to go through. So if you're going to do that, that's not even a tease, is it?
It's surely obvious.
He's got to be Gandalf now, because if you do that and then he's not, that's like a cheat.
But what I will say is, interestingly, so I don't know what you think of the series as a whole. I actually really enjoyed this. I thought it started off slow, but again, as I said before, I'm not like a mega hardcore Lord of the Rings, even though I feel like I am now. But weirdly, this finished, and I was like, oh, damn it, And then I went off, and me and my wife have rewatched all 3 Hobbit films and all 3 Lord of the Rings films. So that propelled me on to want to watch more. So I think that succeeded in what it did.
It was an enjoyable ride, but I just felt a little bit unsatisfied by the resolution of the twist, and the new tease was a little bit frustrating for me. So that one, I'm kind of in the middle of that.
Did it nail the landing, do you think?
Not quite for me. I thought it was okay, but it didn't quite do it for me.
It did for me, and I do want to watch the next season.
Before we talk House of Dragon, let's say She-Hulk, because House of Dragon is very similar to Rings of Power. So let's talk about She-Hulk, which is a very different. Couldn't get much more
so
different
out there,
isn't it?
Rings of Power. Rob, did you see Twitter explode after this, or YouTube, or everything else?
I mean, a lot of people have really hated on this show, and we've kind of defended it in one of our other videos. So I felt like with this, because it obviously does a huge
fourth wall break or,
sort of thing.
meta.
It's not even breaking the fourth wall, as it's just dynamiting it to smithereens. No, it's not too jarring if you've got any familiarity with the Peter David comic runs, because they'd have She-Hulk, even in the cover sometimes, addressing the reader, or they'd have them talking to the artist, and they'd have sort of unfinished panels and stuff like that, like the character was breaking out of the comic panel, panels. So they've already done that in comics. So the idea of just having them do that in a TV show, I thought was quite clever. So when she's actually going into the menu of the Disney Plus, loading screen sort of thing, I thought that was a really good idea. And her sort of going to talk to the writers and stuff like that, I thought was a really good idea. My problem with it is I felt like it dragged on a bit when they did that thing about wanting to go and speak to the boss, and you think, are they really going to have Kevin Feige in this?
Yeah.
But they had this little robot thing instead, and that was okay. That didn't, I'm not bothered about them not having the real guy. I think it's quite a clever idea. Can I give a call out to the start, by the way, of this episode? Do you remember what the start was like? Well, they're in the retreat, and it starts going a bit like stupid, where it's having like this big mass fight, and then that's the point when it goes all wrong.
No, the start of the episode was done like the old 1970s, 80s.
Yes, yeah.
Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno. Absolutely excellent.
My teenage children were completely
clueless,
befuddled by that. Yeah, completely.
I loved it. It was so good.
It failed for them because they were just, well, what's this? What does this mean? What's that supposed to be? It doesn't make any sense. So
I love that. I thought it was excellent.
That was good.
So I will agree with you on pretty much everything you said there. I think you're right. It did. I thought the fourth wall break and the jokes, the coming out of the thing, the subversion, because like you say, we were expecting a Hulk abomination and whatever those men of liberty or whatever they were called. But it didn't go through that. I really liked it. Did it nail the ending?
I think the bit the idea of what they did on paper, even to start with for the first 10-15 minutes, I thought was good, but it kind of dragged along a bit. It's like, oh yeah, that's quite a clever idea. Yeah, this is still the same idea. You broke the fourth wall. And there's cool little bits when she's talking and she's saying about, does she name drop the X-Men or something at one point, and she's doing all these sort of things.
Or if you
nods and winks, but then
nods,
But then there's like that really slightly embarrassing bit of CGI when Hulk turns up with his son's scarf, which again I was kind of expecting that again because of the World War Hulk, Planet Hulk's comics, so I wasn't that surprised when that happened, but it just looked a bit weird, and I'm still not quite sure about Daredevil sitting around Smiles on a sunny afternoon with a family eating a picnic or whatever he's doing. That just felt a bit odd as well.
Yeah, that's a problem because we've been brought up on a diet of Frank Miller Daredevil, haven't we?
I know Daredevil has had its is it Mark Waid runs which are a lot lighter, so it's fine that they have done more light-hearted runs, but I think the runs I've got, my Daredevil collection all seem to be the more, like you say, the Frank Miller style.
I mean, look, I think it nailed it. I think it did it. I totally agree. It was a little bit bloated near the end. Will I watch a second season if there is one? Yeah, I think I would actually.
Yeah, but I'll never watch this first season again.
Oh no. I mean, I don't really rewatch series much,
I
but
feel the need to sort of defend it, though, don't you? And if someone badmouths it, I feel like
yeah,
this need to almost stand up for it. It's like, no, it's a good show, and if you didn't like it, maybe what were you expecting? Because if you read She-Hulk and what you would have wanted is that you got exactly what you would wanted. That's a She-Hulk TV show. You don't make it into a Hulk TV series. It isn't. She-Hulk's a different type of character.
exactly.
House of the Dragon. Wow, what a great show to start with. House of the Dragon was. Sometimes when a show has been consistently good, there's a certain nerves going into the last episode, isn't there?
There is. Now
you're worried it's gonna drop the ball at the last second.
I don't know if we've spoken about this, but I got halfway through the series, and then for whatever reason, I missed a couple of weeks. I think I was just ill and then on holiday, and then I kind of just went, oh yeah, I need to get back into. And I wasn't actually that interested in going back. But I tell you what, the 2 minutes into it, I was like, what am I talking about? This is really good stuff. It's really, again, it's that thing that we seem to like nowadays, isn't it, Robin? It's all about betrayals and marriages of certain, and it's all that political intrigue. But not that many dragons in it really, until these last couple of episodes where it's really ramping up, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, budgetary wise, I suppose they've got to be careful with how often they show the dragons. But
yeah.
I also think if in the down the line, I don't really know what's going to happen in the next season, but I'm guessing some dragons are going to have to be battling. So they don't want to show you too much of that yet. They don't want to sort of blow the load too early on dragons fighting or anything like that.
Yeah, it just becomes the norm then, doesn't it? And it's nothing interesting with it.
Also, things lose their power, don't they? Because, it's like the Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs has got power, even though he's trapped behind the glass. And then when you sort of start following him around in the next film all the time, then it kind of loses his power a little bit. So
that's right.
I think when the dragons actually do appear, it's really impressive. I mean, this kind of works. It's almost like a 2-part finale, because it was interesting how the penultimate episode was all following the coronation.
Yes.
And all the greens, isn't it? Because it's like they're going to got greens and blacks, isn't it? That's the idea.
And it was the last minute switch of the air, wasn't it, from the king? Paddy Considine was brilliant in this, wasn't he?
Yes, he's good in everything. So it was interesting how they kind of didn't flip between the two. They kept focus all on the greens, and then the morning after, all the focus on the blacks and not showing anything else of those other ones.
Yeah.
I thought that was really clever, because you're just thinking, oh my gosh, what's she going to do? How are they going to react when she finds out this has happened? Oh, it's all going to kick off now. It's all going to kick off now. And then the kind of final sort of scenes where, and again, I know little bits, but to be honest, the little bits that I did know from the book have kind of gone in season 1 now already. So I'm completely like a blank slate. What's going to happen? When she sends the kids off on an envoy mission, I felt really nervous. So I'm thinking,
I did as well.
Is one of these going to die? Maybe one of them's going to die, but I don't know which one's going to die, or maybe both are going to die, or are they going to trick me? It's going to be someone else and not one of these kids. So I really felt tense and on the edge of my seat going into the sort of final scenes. And without spoiling it for anyone who may not have caught up yet, like the very final bits with the dragons is absolutely superb. I thought it was really dramatic. It was really cinematic the way it was filmed, but then it didn't lose focus on the characters, and there's little nuances on one of the characters' faces where did he mean to do what just happened there? I thought that was, there's extra little shades in there,
and it's the repercussions of what's going to come after this.
And you've got you've got this big weight now of just like, rubbing your hands with glee. I can't wait for the next episode, because it's going to kick off big time.
One scene that's really stood out to me, I think it was the last episode, was where the king, Paddy Considine, got his entire family in for one sort of final meal. And the tensions there, and
glimmers of hope actually in that scene as well, which is done really nicely.
It flitted, didn't it? So it was almost like bridges built, but then one of the older boys would make fun of one of the younger boys from the other side of the family, but then one of the younger boys would ask so-and-so's wife to dance with him, and it was lots of tit for tat, and of course the lad, I can't remember his name now, he's got one eye missing. He's definitely got an axe to grind on that, isn't he? So that's just a constant thing, and the tension growing and growing and growing. Very good indeed.
Yeah, and even though you've got these impressive special effects, the very, very final scene, which is just Matt Smith walking up to
Queen Rhaenyra,
Queen Rhaenyra, and her back is turned to the fireplace, and just seeing in her body language and her shoulders, hearing some news and her reaction to it, she turns around and
it's a straight camera facing shot, isn't it, as well?
Yes, the ending of this, super satisfying, and out of the three endings, this is the show that I would be most excited about seeing another episode for. This is the one I can't wait for another episode of this.
I think you're exactly right, because like same as you, I was like, oh god, what they're going to do now? Oh, it's like, I haven't read any of the books, and I'm not going to, but I really can't wait because I don't know what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean, that's difficult, isn't it? Because they're adapting something where Lord of the Rings are kind of taking snippets of the Lord of the Rings appendices, and She-Hulk's, obviously they can pick and choose whatever plot lines they want from the comics.
Yeah.
But with House of the Dragon, they've got a book there, and there's a skill to it, isn't it, for the writers? They've got to think, well, where's our story going to start and where's it going to end?
Yeah.
When's our first season? How many seasons are we going to chop this in? So they've got to choose a good, satisfying ending that gives us enough and doesn't feel us cheated. So I think it was brilliantly chosen that point, and absolutely brilliant series with a fantastic ending episode. For me, out of those three finales, House of the Dragon did it best.
Fabulous. Totally agree.